So let's talk just a second about what happens when you look at a woman. Now, this is for my men, but the truth is, I guess it's applicable for women too. Like, it's something that I'm sure a woman could apply or at least evaluate. But for my men especially, because that's who I relate to, my question would be, when you look at a woman initially, are you looking at her in lust? Are you looking at her with honor? Or are you looking at her with admiration? So honor as in she's something sacred, she's somebody sacred. Admiration as in you're admiring her, maybe even admiring her beauty. And of course the other, which is lust, I like to say locker room talk, because it's that conversation that men have in the barbershop or men have in the locker room or wherever, and they're like, oh yeah, if I had my hands on that, I'd do this and that, all that. So what is that first thing that you notice when you look at a woman? And not only that, but how do you reprogram yourself? So I can say that for years, like, and it's something all of us battle with, I think, to some degree. So I'm not alone in this. I know this. But I know there's been periods of time where all I saw in a woman or with a woman, especially, let me say this, after my divorce, going forward, at that point, I think that in particular, after my divorce, I had commitment issues. Every time I'd see a woman, all I wanted to do was figure out like how I could develop a situationship and basically have my cake and eat it too, without making a thorough commitment, without making her my girlfriend or pursuing a wife. So, it was murky and shaky and not healthy, very toxic. And I say that to say, it got worse, because after the divorce, because even when I was married, it's not to say that I did not have moments when I was married that I saw another woman and was like, oh, wow. Or that I didn't have moments where I lusted. But it got worse when I was single again. And because of the trauma from the divorce and the failure and the things that go through your head of, I don't want to go through that again and blah, 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 all this stuff that you go through. Because of that created a big issue. So needless to say, that created problems over the last decade, I guess, since my separation and my divorce. But what ended up happening was recently, the way the Lord began to deal with me was really working to reprogram my mind to not look at the sexual aspect first, to not look at the lustful aspect first. And one of the affirmations that I wrote down for myself to really emphasize was, a woman is someone sacred. A woman is something to honor. She's somebody to honor. She's something sacred. So basically I'm not looking, the goal is to reprogram myself to where I'm not looking at a woman for sex, to where I'm not looking at a woman in the regard of what can I do with her, but rather, is she someone I can build with? Is she someone of character? Is she someone of honor? And regardless of her character or whatever, I can easily say, okay, regardless of that, she is someone I have to honor. She's someone I have to look at with respect, you see. So there's this whole thing of reprogramming your mind, and that is not easy, especially when you've fallen into the state of lusting for so long, and all you do is look at, well, what can I get out of it? What can I get out of it? And specifically sexually, because that's just no good. It's defeating the purpose. It's defeating the purpose of even looking at a woman. So I say that to say, again, and this tells you a lot about yourself. How are you looking at a woman? Is the first thing you see lust? Is the first thing you're thinking about, like, you know, what you want to do to her and all of this stuff? Or is it, I admire her, I admire this about her, I admire her beauty, I admire her character, her personality, whatever the case is, I admire this? Or, and I think honor, let me just say, I feel like honor should be default. I feel like that should just be a default, to honor a woman for just being a woman. Honor the woman for being a woman. So even if her character is horrible, at least honor her with some kind of respect and dignity, to say, okay, that's sad that she's in that state, but I'm not gonna dishonor her, and I'm not gonna look at her in a dishonorable way, because she is a valuable human being regardless of whatever state she's in. So anyway, these are just, I don't know, these are just things to reflect on. This hit me this morning, and hopefully each of us can ponder on this, pray on this, and think about this and explore it. And it should give us a little bit of mirror detail about ourselves, to say, okay, well, what types of things in me do I need to reprogram? Because, and it's not just from a Christian perspective, it's from a civilized perspective, to say, okay, I'm not going to look at what I can do to a woman the first thing I see. When I first see a woman, I'm going to look at her with honor. I'm going to look at her with dignity. I'm going to look at her and with hopefully some kind of admiration, to appreciate her beauty, maybe appreciate her personality, appreciate her talents, gifts, whatever that is. These are the things you need to think about. And like I said, for the women too, this also applies to you. How do you look at men? And maybe there's a female on here that can explore this and maybe even elaborate it more for women, hopefully. But anyway, think about it, pray about it, let's explore it, and let me know what you think. All right, later.